Welcome to my channel, The Backstory. I am Audrey, and on this channel you will find out exactly what happened before each Sunday school lesson. The Sunday school lesson for October the 16th, 2022 is entitled The Call of Gideon, based on Judges chapter 6, verses 1 through 2 and verses 7 through 16a. To the new viewers, this is the standard agenda. I will share the backstory, read the lesson text, and offer a brief summary. Let's begin. About the book of Judges. The book of Judges tells how the Israelites kept rejecting the Lord and worshiping idols. Each time they did this, the Lord punished them by letting other nations attack and defeat them. As a result, the Israelites turned back to the Lord and asked for his help. And he sent a special leader called a judge who helped them defeat their enemies. A time of peace followed, and the Israelites were faithful to the Lord for as long as the judge lived. But then they again rejected the Lord. All these things happened time after time. They did not yet have a king. And so during this time, everyone did what they thought was right. But the people had to learn that they were to worship only the Lord. And when they were unfaithful, the Lord punished them. The Call of Gideon, Judges chapter 6, verses 1 through 2, and verses 7 through 16a. Key text. The Lord said to Gideon, "Peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die." Judges chapter 6, verse 23. Verse 1. The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Verse 2. Because the power of Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Verses 7 through 8. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery." Verse 9. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and I delivered you from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. Verse 10. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me. Verse 11. The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. Verse 12. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Verse 13. "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." Verse 14. The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" Verse 15. "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. Verse 16a. The Lord answered, I will be with you. Why did the Israelites prepare shelters for themselves? Answer: because the power of Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Judges chapter 6, verse 2. A brief summary. 6 rebellions by God's people are recorded in Judges. Each one begins by affirming that the people did evil in the eyes of the Lord. This oppression went on for 7 years. The people were able to hide some wheat and perhaps a few sheep or milk cows. They managed to live, but they were greatly impoverished. It was plain that the idols they worshipped were not helping them, so they cried out to the Lord. His first response was to send a prophet who reminded them that their trouble was due to their disobedience. God had delivered the Israelites from Egyptian bondage and had protected them during the wilderness wanderings. They had routed their foes in Canaan, and God had given to Israel the land once held by their enemies. The concluding statement, but you have not listened to me, justified the punishment that had been received by Israel. Gideon, son of Joash, was threshing wheat. Ordinarily, this would have been done on a threshing floor in an open area so that the wind would blow away the chaff after a threshing sledge was pulled over the grain by oxen. But such places had become targets for raiding parties. Gideon hid in a winepress to do this work secretly. Such a picture gave no evidence of being mighty. We need not be disturbed because verse 12 says, the angel of the Lord said, and verse 14 says, the Lord said. Whatever the Lord does through an angel is still done by the Lord. The task given to Gideon was formidable. From hiding in a winepress to commanding an army is no small step. Gideon was the most insignificant member of an insignificant family, he said. To Gideon, God's presence was the answer. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And most of all, join me soon for the next back story.